genre.
Hello and welcome back to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who: The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Cass Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing Embrace the Darkness, the 8th Doctor's 9th story from Big Finish Audio.
Yep. I don't have any background for this. I'm not always gonna have it for the audio stuff.
What year did this come out?
This came out. Great question. 2002. April 29th, 2002. It is Big Finish Audio's 31st release in the Doctor Who line of audio dramas. So, the way the release schedule worked for these back then, now they do like these package deals, and it's a way more complicated process now. But back then, they would just have monthly releases, and so they've been going for 31 months at this point. And what they would do is basically have like 3 stories from the 6th Doctor, then 3 stories from the 7th Doctor, then 3 stories from the 8th Doctor, then 3 stories from the 6th Doctor, and eventually the 5th Doctor got mixed into the mix, and so then it would revolve around that. And then eventually, I think they got to a point where there were so many Doctors mixed up and side things and all this that they just stopped doing the sort of monthly releases and started sort of expanding and doing seasons within each Doctor and things like that. But this is still early days. So April of 2002.
I'll be honest.
Nice.
When you say 2002, the first thing that popped into my head was the year of Lilo and Stitch.
not
How
the
do
Two
you know
Towers,
that?
huh?
Right. Well, that was 2001.
Wait.
No, not those Two Towers, Cass.
Oh, Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
He
Yes.
needs Orthanc and Barad-dûr.
Yes.
Yeah. We were talking movies,
Well,
not history.
Well, in terms of when you think of a year, what's the first thing that comes? Literally 2002. I was like, yeah, Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, Two Towers, Scooby Doo.
Mm-hmm.
About
Attack the
Schmidt.
Clones.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of music. I'm less on my music year to year back then.
Yeah.
I
We
don't
were-
feel at the-
We were a month out from Attack of the Clones hitting.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Kinda re-
I was
re-
I was a high school junior, greatly anticipating a movie that I would truly believe that I very much enjoyed the first time I saw it.
Mhm.
And then would realize how much of a chore it was to watch any other time. I think I saw it a second time in theaters, and I was like, oh wait, I don't think I like this at all. It was instant. First time I was like, that was great. Yoda kicked ass. And then I saw it again. I was like, this is boring. Yeah, it was. Anyway.
Cass, what was keeping you going in 2002?
I don't know. I was in middle school, so just barely hanging on a thread.
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth heavy diet back then.
I think I was listening to a lot of Ataris.
That tracks.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, Embrace the Darkness. So Embrace the Darkness is a a good example, kind of our first example that we've dealt with so far of something that Big Finish Audio tends to do a lot. I would say probably too much, which is they try to do this clever thing where they're like, hey, we're an audio thing, so we should play around with that in terms of like, playing around with like the fact that we're only audio and try to like make it so that the whole thing takes place in the darkness and nobody can see anything, or, everyone's blind, or they're like only existing in like a white empty space or whatever. And every time they do this, I find the execution of this trope very lacking, personally. I'm never into these stories. Every time they do it, I don't think they're very good, and have always endeavored to outdo what Big Finish Audio does with these tropes. But and this is a good example of that. I mean, it's good. At least this one has like good sound design and stuff like that. But like in general, I don't know. I find it a little too focused on the sort of like cleverness of the concept and not enough on the story, which I find fine in the first two parts. And then once the reveal of like what's going on starts happening, I'm like, this is boring. I am so bored and ready for this to be over. So that's where I'm at on this one. What did you guys think?
Cass, I want to hear what you think.
I don't like this one.
Yeah.
I really like Paul McGann and Charlie. And I think they're in like really good form here. I wish they spent more time together, but it's a Doctor Who story, so they got to separate at some point. But yeah, no, I didn't. I was also very bored by this. It tries to do like this horror thing that I didn't like, but I also think it didn't do it very well. I didn't like the weird whispery aliens. I wish I was drinking every time they said "embrace the darkness" because I would have been toasted. I actually didn't like the sound design. I thought the noise that signaled the end of a scene was really distracting, and it happened way too often.
It was more like, I didn't like that either. When I say the sound design, it was more just like, I did have a sense of like place.
Scope.
Whenever we were somewhere. Yeah, scope and like different people in different parts of the room. So like, I felt that part of it was good, was well done, but I agreed, like the way that they like created sounds, I didn't like any of them.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You're like, I like the sound design. I was like, what? I didn't really vibe with any of the supporting characters. I didn't like the AI. I didn't like what's her face. I thought her I can't even remember her name. The commanding officer of this mining crew. I thought her characterization was kind of all over the place. And the other two didn't feel distinct enough. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just two generic working class future English dudes.
Yep.
Which sucks because like I think the most fun I had that wasn't the Doctor and Charlie was like that opening scene where they're like playing cards or whatever. But
her name was Orlenza, is that right?
Oh, thank you.
Orlenza, yeah.
Yeah, Orlenza. Was she French? Is that what that accent was?
I had a lot of questions about her accent.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I'm not sure.
What did you think, Nick?
I literally beat for beat the opposite of both of you.
Okay.
Did not like the first scene.
Okay.
I was like, these assholes. Like, we love you, Orlenza. I was like, both of you. Oh, you have a history. Cool. Like, but, okay. So you're saying there was a sound that heralded the end of every scene?
Yes.
I totally didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
sounds like it worked for you.
Well, I was, it was over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And that was daunting. And I remember being like, this is about to be my whole afternoon, and I listen. I don't know. Like I had tea. I listened to this on my Beats wireless headphones,
Yeah.
and so like a lot of I was like genuinely kind of spooked by the little whisper monster ghosts. Maybe I guess because I was just like, whoa, what are these things? And like they really, and then and yeah, and like the story was like wrote for Doctor Who, and so as it revealed itself, I was like, oh, okay, it's one of these. Okay, that's cool. And but I agree with Cass though. I thought Charlie and the Doctor were both like really engaging and really fun to follow around. And I just found the spooky kind of like almost like video game atmosphere of like exploring the space just fun, or just at least like like a fun like listening experience. So yeah, I was there wasn't anything like exemplary.
Yeah.
But I found myself entertained by it.
Yeah. I mean, I still like this more than that Buffy riff.
Well, yeah, that was awful.
But yeah, I think in general, I am going back to these Eighth Doctor monthly adventures. Has generally been kind of rough. I mean, some of them are still really good and hold up and warrant the 2-hour runtime. But then there's ones like this where I'm like, there's not enough here for 2 hours. This is insane. And later when Charlie eventually leaves the Eighth Doctor and we get Lucy Miller, the structure of the show changes and the Eighth Doctor adventures become 45-minute adventures. And just, that's it. Like it becomes like New Who. And it is glorious.
That's awesome.
Because you get twice as many adventures with the Eighth Doctor, and there's like season arcs, and there's this whole it's just like they're like really trying to hit that Russell T Davies sweet spot when we get to that era, and that is my preferred era for the Eighth Doctor. So I feel like I'm just biding my time here listening to these monthlies. I'm like so excited for us to get to that stuff that I'm just like, can we skip some of these? Can we like
You're the one who makes the schedule. We can skip whatever you want.
That's true. I think I might. I might look at what we have left and see if I can't like get to a quicker ending for the Charlie era, but we'll see. Cuz I wish we had skipped this one, honestly. But oh well.
I think that like I think my problem too with it is like the like twist or whatever, the quote unquote twist. They do it twice. Like like the aliens that you think are the bad guys aren't actually the bad guys, and then the new aliens that you think are the bad guys are not the bad guys either, and then it just kind of ended.
Yep.
So like the part what did I know they described what they looked like, and it was amazing. Like these creatures, they ended up kind of being almost like what are those amphibians that live deep under the ground? Like
Cimmerian.
No, in real life. They have like the little crown, the little like kind of almost lizard like, but they have big old white eyes.
Are you talking about like axolotls? Or no?
Yeah, maybe that's it. But the part where it was like, what? They're still down there? We've been looking for them for so long. So how many more Charlie adventures are there before the Lucy Miller era?
There's that 4-hour-long one, right?
Yeah, there sure is, and unfortunately, that's not skippable.
What makes it not skippable?
It's sort of a culmination story. Yeah.
It like brings everything back.
Yeah. Well, yes. One, it's Big Finish's first anniversary special, and two, it's where did I put this? It's it's basically it's at the halfway point of the Charlie era, and afterward, a shift happens to the status quo that like you can't skip. That Zagreus is the name of the episode. You can't skip Zagreus because like the whole status quo of like the 8th Doctor Charley stuff shifts for the worse. And that era of the 8th Doctor Charley stuff sucks pretty bad.
Oh no.
But yeah.
They become conjoined.
Yeah. No, that would at least be so bananas that I would be kind of into it. Unfortunately, no, that's not what it is. Let me see. I can't,
because I'm bittersweet. I have mixed feelings about skipping Charlie episodes because I love Charlie, but you have both told me that like I'm really gonna love Lucy Miller.
Mm-hmm.
So that's.
Have you heard you've heard Lucy Miller stuff, right, Cass? Or no?
Or maybe it's just
no, I don't think I have.
Oh, okay. Man.
Because I've only
see.
listened to a handful of the Charlie ones, and I've only listened to a handful of the Six and Evelyn ones, and I think that's it.
Okay. I'm having trouble finding.
So 4 hours long, you say?
Oh, there it is. Let me see here.
I don't know why it's 4
Eighth
hours long.
Doctor.
I just know that it is.
Yeah, it sure is. Oh boy, is it.
Maybe I'll drive to Vegas one weekend. Just throwing back.
Oh nope, that's not it either. Huh. I don't know. I know that
Cool.
it is a ridiculous amount. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. 8. Yeah, because I start doubling up there, and technically there are 18.
Wow.
18.
18 stories.
Yeah, 18 stories. And Zagreus is the 12th. So we're coming up on it, actually.
Yeah, 'cause this
Okay.
is the 9th.
But who boy.
Well, yeah, you're the architect of our fate.
Yeah, I might. I'm gonna investigate and see if there's a better way of doing this, because it's yeah, I don't know.
I'm just glad the 4-hour one is not optional.
That's the worst part, right? Like, it's just, that is the worst part. Man. Yeah. Anyway.
So that first, like as we referred to earlier, the first scene of Embrace the Darkness is there's like this outpost where these 3 characters, the lady and the other 2, are stationed at this like remote.
That's what they should have called the story. The lady and the other 2.
The other 2. Great.
Embrace the Darkness is far too metal of a title for a story this boring.
Yeah, it's a very 12th Doctor title.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Face the Raven.
That's true. Yeah.
They're like, so like this solar system, this area that the story occupies, it's a world where like the sun has been extinguished. Is that what it was?
Yes, the sun is missing or something.
Yes. The sun has been missing for hundreds of years from the perspective of these 3 characters, and their job is like monitoring it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the 2 guys are very like, playing cards, and she's like, "Oh, you two, be quiet. Shut up, both of you."
I think it's French. I don't know.
No, it definitely wasn't French. I think it was like some kind of Eastern European.
Oh.
Okay.
I will say, whatever accent it is that she has, Big Finish uses that accent all the time. And it is annoying every single time. It'll just be like, there'll be some character, some like obscure foreign character that they just give that accent to. And it is It's rough. Every time. Every
'Cause,
time.
and I don't know for certain, I could be completely mistaken, but yeah, from my American ears, it sounded eventually like an English person doing a kind of vague accent.
Yeah. For sure.
So they're having a grand old time until they're super not.
Mhm. Yep.
They get like boarded by these spooky. They get transported to this like other place where there's like no light, and there's these creepy little whispery ghost children that are
Mhm.
like, "Hey, what's up? Welcome, welcome to Embrace the Darkness."
But then it turns out that like they're not somewhere without light. They just got their eyes burnt out of their skulls.
That's the cliffhanger of episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Mhm. But they somehow never discover that until Charlie notices it for them.
Right. Because I guess it wasn't like painful for them, or like it was, but not the kind of painful that you would like think that's what was happening.
Yeah, because like after that opening scene where we're like hanging out with the Doctor and Charlie for a little bit, and we cut back to them, they're talking about how like they're in pain, like they're like alluding to like this pain or whatever.
Yeah.
But and I understand why they didn't want to like, because I don't want to hear people screaming.
Yeah.
But
sure.
it could have been made a lot clearer. I
Uh-huh.
think.
You learn. Oh, no, please.
Oh no.
You learn eventually that like they've had to like repress the pain. Like
Mhm.
one character is like, why won't he stop crying? And it's like because he remembers the pain. He goes, oh, now I'm remembering the pain. Oh, that really hurt when my eyes got like cautered out.
Woof.
Meanwhile, back on the TARDIS,
Mhm.
there's a fun exchange. The TARDIS has like a temporal discharge, and Charlie's like, oh, you should give it some health salts.
Yeah.
And the Doctor realizes they've come to the Cimmeria, right? Cimmeria.
Yeah.
There was this magical. Oh yeah, please.
Is that before or after the TARDIS is surrounded by a bunch of other TARDISes?
That's after.
Oh, that's after. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So he like makes a quick escape from like all these other TARDISes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a reference to Zagreus. That'll come back around in Zagreus.
Yeah. He's
That
like,
4
oh,
hour. Yeah.
there's a bunch of TARDISes. This must be like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, maybe it's like Rassilon's having a flag day or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to get out of here because this is like
Yeah.
a lot.
So we learn about all of that in Zagreus.
I hope we learn
Zagreus
everything.
Is coming. Zagreus is coming.
So they realize they're at the Cimmeria System, and there was a moment where, so I was taking notes, and I was like, oh, I wonder how they spell that Cimmeria. And at that moment, Charlie was like, Doctor, how do you spell Cimmeria? And he's like, Cimmer. And I was like, wow, hey. And the Doctor knows Cimmeria as, oh yeah, that's that place, that's that system where the sun went away for no reason. And Charlie's like, but there is a sun. Look, it's right there. And the Doctor's like, oh, sick. We're gonna learn the mystery of Cimmeria. This is great. They see a bunch of little tiny dots coming towards them, like ship-like structures far off in the distance. Like, Doctor, look, there's a bunch of little dots. And we learn at the very end that it's like Cass said, the other secret bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then they get boarded, or they get visited by a rescue operational security robot. It doesn't board the TARDIS though, right? Like they come to it, like they board it.
They because he's like speeding up the timeline because he's like, oh, the sun's still here, so I want to know what happens. So they're like jumping forward in time, and then they jump forward too far. So now we're like in the same time as the three. I keep saying minors, but like the three people in the little station.
What were their
and
jobs?
Then the TARDIS gets like hijacked by the other spaceship. with
Right.
the AI on it.
The security bot like keeps wanting to like it's just desperate to kill Charlie, like just super desperate, like just no. There's something wrong with this thing. Like we gotta kill it. Well, I want to kill it, and the doctor just keeps talking it out of killing Charlie.
Eventually, we learn it's because she's from the past, and so because of like the way that like maybe she has some germs and stuff that they've eradicated, so the robot deems her a biohazard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they eventually have to separate.
Yeah. Well, what it actually is recognizing something else about Charlie. But
The
again,
thing I don't know.
Zagreus.
Yeah. She's a baby from another dimension left on a doorstep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
so
because it, like, Charlie's whole thing is she's supposed to be dead. Like, she doesn't technically exist. So, I don't remember how that comes to fruition. I'm pretty sure that's in Zagreus, right? That's what Zagreus is about.
Partially, but it's not concluded there. It's not concluded until
very
she
end.
leaves the TARDIS.
Okay.
Yeah, the very, very end. Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that, because if I had gotten through 4 hours of Zagreus and not, like that would have hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's gonna hurt. Trust me.
Sure.
Wonder if there's just like a recap YouTube essay we can watch instead.
Even that's going to be like 3 hours long. I know many YouTube
probably.
essays.
Oh, boy.
So Charlie sneaks away to a life pod, and she is separated, and she meets up with the three amigos that we met at the beginning, and we get the cliffhanger of like, oh my God, your eyes have been sizzled out. They're like, she reminded us.
Right. We had forgotten until now.
And episode 2 starts with the little ghost amoeba children talking about how they have to, they are taking the light away. And they because they can't survive in the light, so they have to but no, they eat it, right? They eat the light, they consume it.
Yes.
That's another thing that I think could be made clearer, which is ridiculous because it's over 2 hours. I think in part 4 we learned that because they don't have eyes, their primary, like the way they interact with the world is through taste. So I think I'm not entirely sure if they're actually consuming the light or if it's just a turn of phrase or what's happening.
I think it's
there.
literal.
Okay.
I think the doctor later finds out that they're they emit light destroying particles.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right, because there's a part where they run into Charlie and she's like, please don't take my eyes. And they're like, what are eyes? And it's just all they see is the light, and they're just taking the light away. And so they don't necessarily see body parts or whatever the way that we do.
Right.
How we see body parts every day. So our power will be unstoppable. The doctor is for most of this episode stuck with the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great Doctor Who robot. Kind of one note.
Yeah.
We learned that he is attached to, he's kind of like a drone. He's attached to the greater hive mind of the same super Kerblam company that the three amigos work for.
Mm-hmm.
And that he was sent out to, they sent out a call and I'm here to help but it's not human at all. It's they belong to the company too. So I'm here to protect the company's assets,
Right. Yeah.
They eventually incapacitate one. They're able to knock one out. And the lady, the lady who lost her eyes is kill it, snap its neck. That thing took my eyes. And the Doctor and Charlie are no, let's see what this thing's about. She's very antagonistic.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
the eventual reveal that like the freaky little whisper friends are like uh like they're like healers, like they can like they have like some kind of like ability to like heal things.
Mm-hmm.
But they were trying to like by taking their eyes, they were trying to like heal them to like their alien specifications and not humans. It reminded
Mm-hmm.
me of the little nanobots in Are You My Mummy in that two-parter that we just talked about like last season, cuz like the first human that they encountered was that kid with the gas masks, so they're like, "Oh, that's what humans look like."
Right.
Which I
Mhm.
thought was kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
several years before New Who started, but
Mhm.
Steve
Right,
Moffat
that's
did it
true.
way better. So
Right. And then yeah, because I guess you have that iconic image, but then you have these things are audio.
Right.
So they they kind of like they take the one that they were able to capture and like knock unconscious. The doctor comes up with a plan to stop the like involving like an artificial sun, like how to like, oh, we could restart this artificial sun, but then he realizes that these creatures aren't malevolent, they're just like, no, we eat the light, so like when we see a bunch of light, we're gonna try and eat it. And the doctor like loses it, like guilt trips super hard,
Mhm.
and he's like, no. um I liked the part where he's trying to like he creates a plan where he's going to sacrifice himself to save the little light children monsters, and Charlie like totally hobbles that plan and like follows him, and she's like, no, like you don't get to like isolate me because you like feel guilty, like I'm a part of this, like we're a team.
Yeah.
um and then yeah, they find out that there was like a terrible sickness, and like there was like a blight, and that's kind of what fissured the race into two, like some stayed, some left.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then they like ignite the artificial sun, which the 3 crew members were there to like monitor and set up because the company wants to mine this planet because they don't think anything lives here because it's dark all the time. And then like I don't understand the timing of this, but like the suns come back on and then like the other like alien ship armada just like is immediately there. And so they like it turns out to be like this big misunderstanding because like the other alien armada is like the returning group of aliens that like initially left like hundreds of years ago, like their descendants. Now they're coming back to their homeland, and it's just like yay. And like there isn't even like a not that I think it would be terribly interesting, but there isn't like a scene where like these two different alien like subspecies like come together. It's just like, oh yeah, that happened, and then the doctor is just like, okay, time to go. So it's not very like there isn't like a climax to this story. It's really weird.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Like I guess the climax is supposed to be that final third revelation that like, oh no, like it wasn't an oncoming war or like an invasion. It was like one half of a people looking for its other half, or not even looking for them. They were like, well, they're all dead, so like, but enough time has passed. Let's go repopulate that area. Oh my god, they're still here. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's I guess a positive ending to the story, which I guess that's why it doesn't have like an exciting culmination, because it's just like a shocking positive twist.
Yeah.
And that's it. which is, it's fine, but it just feels very much like I wish this story had more going on. I think it's just not very complex. It's very simple, but stretched out to 2 hours.
Like the lion's share of like, I guess, length is like it's a lot of them walking around. It's a lot of like bickering. Like the commanding officer is like very antagonistic, and your classic Whovian, like, vengeful, like human,
Right.
But yeah, weirdly everyone lives. It does not have a just this once everyone lives vibe, but that ends up being what it is.
Yeah. I think that there's like a good story here if this was like 45 minutes. I think you could have rewritten this into something really strong. But as it stands at 2 hours, I just like by the time I get to the end of this, I'm like, oh man, I don't care about any of this anymore, and I want it to stop.
It's way too long.
Yeah, like every cliffhanger, because we know normally a cliffhanger is like an escalation, like, oh no, Tegan's stuck in a pipe, or like Adric's stuck in a pipe. But like,
I like that the Fifth Doctor companions were your go-to companions
right.
getting into trouble.
the most troublesome. But every cliffhanger here was like a discovery of like, oh no, their eyes have been like, lasered off, or like, oh, they're coming towards us. Like it was never like a sudden gear change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There were no gear shifts in this at all, I think.
Like
just kind of like
dragged into like a storybook.
Yeah, it was just like a slow descent down a hill is what listening to this felt like.
Do you think would either of you have preferred a more vicious, like straight up like horror episode?
I don't
Maybe.
know.
I guess like a more active one, regardless of what like kind of attitude it has, would have been like preferable.
Yeah. I think too, having it just be the three amigos being the other characters other than like the aliens and the AI and all that stuff. I think it causes the story to lack life. It just doesn't feel lived in at all. It feels very like somebody hasn't learned how to write something with detail and something that feels like it existed before you start telling the story. It just feels very like, well, this is a story about these three guys, so we'll just make it these three guys, and there's nobody else. It's just these three guys. And it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It makes it feel like it's not real to me. I don't know.
So it ends kind of with a return to the status quo for those three, where they just kind of get plopped back into there, and they go right back into like, oh, don't let the captain catch you, sneaking in extra. Like, you guys just got your eyes lasered off. Like,
yep, back at it. Yeah, not my favorite thing. This one, not my favorite thing. Fortunately, I think the next few Eighth Doctor stories are actually pretty solid. The next one in particular is a bananas story that I don't want to ruin what the plot of it is. But I think you guys are both going to be, even if you guys don't end up liking the story, I think you're going to be a lot more interested in it than this one.
That's fair.
Given what it's about.
Is the word bananas a hint?
No. I will say this. It involves the Daleks and William Shakespeare.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's
both
where we're going next time.
Both have great track records on Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the next one. And then the one after that, starts to explain some Charlie stuff,
Mm.
and then so it's sort of like a season finale, sort of halfway point, and then Zagreus is like the big like 50th anniversary thing, or 40th anniversary thing, 50th episode of Big Finish.
Oh,
audio.
an hour for every decade.
Yeah. Indeed. And then and then we go into like that second half of the stuff where I'm probably going to cut out a bunch of those stories so we don't have to listen to them.
Thinking about Charlie compared to, I think about like another mystery box companion. And just to preface listeners, I'm talking specifically about Matt Smith era Clara.
Mm-hmm.
With Clara, I remember back then being like, if this mystery doesn't pan out, it's really going to affect how I feel about this character.
Yeah.
But with Charlie, I like forget that she's a mystery box character
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like she's allowed to kind of be on her own 2 feet more than, more oftentimes at least. Because I'm like, oh, that's right. There's like a big mystery of like she's supposed to be dead and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm going to investigate if we actually have to listen to Zagreus, or if I skip the whole back half of this Charlie stuff and just like give it in background significance. If we can just skip to the end and move on. I'll investigate. I'll see what it looks like, because it's Zagreus is daunting, and I mean, Cass, you've listened to Zagreus, right?
No.
No?
Whew.
Oh boy, I have.
I was
Yikes.
going to, because like I remember like Matt was listening to these, and so I would listen to some of them when we were like hanging out or whatever, and he was like, "This one's 4 hours long," and he was like updating me about it. And he's just like, "Well, no, don't listen to this one."
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, if we get some more Patreon supporters, that might sweeten the pot a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how much our Patreon supporters are like really into the Big Finish audio stuff though. But if you are, by all means,
please tell us.
Yeah, but I really want to get to the Lucy Miller stuff, because that's my jam. And there's some good Charlie ones in here, but boy, I just can't wait to get to that sweet Lucy Miller.
You're a fan of Lucy Miller's?
I am. She might be my favorite companion, period. So, I'm excited to get to her. In any event, I think that's Embrace the Darkness. We did not embrace it, as it turns out. Alas. All right. Well, is that it? Are we done here?
I think so.
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next time with Boomtown with the 9th Doctor. Until then, check out the Patreon, duelinggenre.com/support. Let us know. Demand that we do every Charlie Pollard story, but you got to demand it with money, or I'm gonna start skipping stuff. So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in a few days with Boomtown. Bye.